This is a vital conversation. If you're interested in women's health, if you are a woman or know a woman, so men, listen up. This could help your relationships as well.
There is a lot of stigma around anxiety or depression at any time, particularly during menopause. Now the brain is used to this amount of estrogen, and now we have these declining levels of estrogen. So serotonin, our happy hormone, declines when our estrogen declines.
Oh no.
Dopamine, which is our feel-good neurotransmitter, it declines. Estrogen actually even impacts how we cope with stress. Your body's trying to tell you something. Are you available to listen?
Sharon Pendlington is a health and well-being coach who spent the last decade helping women navigate menopause with less stress and more confidence. A lot of people taking care of themselves is an afterthought. Please do prioritize yourself. You matter. What can someone do to support themselves?
At the root of it, the biggest thing is...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pause to Elevate with Dr. Kasim Al Mashat. I am so thrilled to share today's conversation with Sharon Pendlington. Friends, this is going to be a vital conversation. If you're interested in women's health, if you are a woman or know a woman, so men, listen up. This could help your relationships as well. Sharon specializes in supporting women midlife to restore their sleep, stabilize their mood, and rebuild the energy and relationships that matter the most. We'll also explore Sharon's 90 Day Stress to Serenity program, which is a group coaching experience for women in perimenopause and beyond. But first, Sharon, a warm welcome to you to Pause to Elevate. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you, Kasim. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have done such outstanding work, and I'm so happy to have a chance to share this conversation with you. So, I wonder if we can begin just to help the audience with a little bit of background. What got you interested in women's health yourself and dedicating this work you've been
Mm.
doing in the last 10 years?
Yeah, so my mom and my experience with my mom and her journey through menopause was probably the first reason that
Mm,
got me interested in women's health. And then, of course, my own menopause journey,
mm,
because I've always struggled with hormones. So I do have this memory of my mom who struggled with mental health concerns, and she was a single
mm,
mom and had a lot of stress. But I remember supporting her in the hospital when
mm.
she had her hysterectomy. And there wasn't a
Ah,
lot I could do to help with pain. And I just remember feeling quite like helpless. And
yeah.
then, yeah, and then shortly after, I remember overhearing this conversation she was having on the phone saying that she wanted to jump out the window.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I knew from a pretty young age,
Mm.
menopause is not fun.
Oh, wow.
And,
It's
that's the
dangerous.
belief that
Yeah.
I took with me. And yeah, it could actually be life altering. Like
Mm,
they could have such a huge impact.
mm,
And then, of course, I went through puberty and had my
mm,
own struggles with very, very, very heavy periods. I was on
mm.
the birth control pill when I was 11 years old for very heavy periods. And then, of course, women have all these windows of vulnerability where they're
Mm,
more vulnerable to mood changes. So puberty was one. I remember mood swings in puberty. And
yeah.
then during pregnancy and then postpartum, same thing, quite big mood swings.
Mm,
And then for my perimenopausal journey as well, those mood swings just got worse, where it was periods of rage.
yeah.
So I've always been on this path of really trying to figure it out for myself. It's the reason I
Mm,
did yoga teacher training. It's the reason I became a nutritionist. It's the reason I became a health coach. Just trying to
mm,
figure out all the stuff I was going through because I
mm.
wasn't getting answers through our typical conventional medical
Right.
system, right? The physicians weren't as aware of it as they are
Yeah.
nowadays. Mhm.
What a journey you've been on. So it's from direct experience of really going through challenges, wanting to kind of figure it out. Like what can help. There isn't a clear thing that, one thing can solve the issue of hormones. So I wonder, for those who are maybe new to it or don't want to even talk about it, like how do you bring up the subject of what's perimenopause? Because there's also a lot of like shame, and it's like, oh, okay, if we're gonna have the talk about this, that means there's aging, that means, oh, it's all over now, it's finished, like, your youth is
Mm.
gone and you're all like, life is it's just downhill. Like there's a lot of negativity, unfortunately, associated with a very normal, natural part of life. What helps in bringing up this topic? How do you start a conversation around that?
Mhm. So I think it's important that we are having conversations around it.
Mm,
It's almost like I don't know what it's like nowadays for people that are menstruating. Like we're
mm,
quite open about it in our house because I have a
yeah.
daughter, and so
Right.
we talk about it openly. But a lot of families probably don't talk about it openly. So, but if it's,
Mm,
often if we can approach things more openly when people are younger, it's much more acceptable as they get older to talk about it.
uh,
So my guess is that, millennials are probably going to talk about it a lot more openly than my generation is talking about perimenopause
yeah.
and menopause. But as far as men and talking about it, I would
Mm,
suggest, probably not talking about it when your partner or the person you care about is right in it. So we don't want to bring it
yeah.
up during that week before her period
Yeah.
because
Right.
it's just she's dealing with enough. But
Yeah.
great like what a great opportunity to bring it up, when things are going well, when her estrogen levels are higher, when her progesterone levels are higher,
Right.
right? That's the time to bring up the conversation, and there's just more ease in that conversation.
Mm,
But I think it's important to bring it up, to be talking about it and talk openly about it because this is a natural part of women's lives.
yeah.
And even if it's an uncomfortable conversation, honestly, at least it's a conversation. At least we're not hiding it and ignoring it, because I think that's gone on long enough where it's just expected that women deal with this. You just deal with having your period every month, and you just deal with
Mm,
all the fallout from the changes to our hormones. We've been
yeah.
dealing with this kind of in the shadows for a lot of women for long enough. So I think it's just important that we're talking about it.
Absolutely. It's really important, and to know, like, doing it with care and love, and timing, because you're naming timing as well in terms of, menstrual cycle, when to bring up like the main big topics. And I think,
Mm.
I mean, speaking as a man, sometimes I realize afterwards, oh, I like the sensitivity there. Like, oh, I think my timing was really off. Like, this was not the time to bring up this topic that we've been like discussing, difficult, whatever it was, whether it's the finances or family matters. And so I guess that's something to keep in mind, is when to bring up heated topics.
Yeah. That goes for everything. That's something I learned
Yeah.
from you, Kasim,
Uh,
was
mm,
just inserting some mindfulness, because we
mm,
might that could happen anytime we're communicating with
yeah.
someone. Someone says something that offended you or insulted you, or you just feel like you need to react to somehow, and we need to just stop and go, okay, is this helpful? Is this the best time to have this conversation? I'm one of those people, I like to check it off. Like, no, let's deal with this now.
Yeah, kind of get it
Um,
done. Yeah, yeah.
but it's not always the best timing,
Yeah.
right? And then the other thing I was just thinking of now is maybe asking what would be helpful, what's supportive, and even saying, I don't understand all this. What would be supportive for you right now? What are
Um,
you experiencing? Like asking the question, because sometimes,
mm,
we can jump in because we want to fix it for the other person. And it might not
okay.
be fixable. And that might not be what the person wants, is to have it fixed. They just want to be heard.
Yes. Well, here's such
Mm.
a clear takeaway already. So there's this thing of actually tuning in to your whatever friend or family member or partner. If you're going through challenges, whether it's menstrual cycle, menopause, perimenopause, whatever it is to pause and ask them, "What do you need from me? Like, how can I be there for you?" rather than attempting to fix something that we may not understand.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. The
Yeah.
other thing I'm thinking of too is how uncomfortable it is just thinking about having this conversation with a woman.
Yeah.
And then you can put yourself in their shoes. You're uncomfortable just thinking about having the conversation. But this woman has had to deal with all these symptoms for decades, right? So that's just a way of like putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Okay, I'm noticing that I'm quite uncomfortable just bringing up that, you know,
Mm.
whatever it might be. She's um her mood has changed because she hasn't been sleeping, for
Right.
instance, and I'm uncomfortable bringing that up. Imagine the discomfort that she's living with
Mm.
for years and years and years.
It's time for a quick little update. You know, a few months ago, 2.5% of you who are watching this content were subscribed to this channel. I'm so grateful to you. You helped us move it to 20%. However, if we do the math, that still leaves us 80% of you have not subscribed. Please help me change that. Go ahead and press that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the content. What a perspective. So, like, the discomfort from bringing it up
Mhm.
is tiny little one. If you put it in perspective, like, as you're saying, it's like, wow, that it's like it's a little pebble versus like this massive rock of like the discomfort of dealing with everything for so many years, rather than like the moment of asking a question, which is
Mhm.
intended to create connection. Yeah. Hmm.
Mhm.
So I wonder if we can just step back even a little more for folks who are like, maybe this is even new to them. Like, what is perimenopause? What is menopause? What, like, why is this important to talk about? Like, what does that actually mean? Because a lot of people may know the word, but actually don't know like what does it mean?
Right. Thank you. I would love to talk about that
Yeah,
because it's not talked about enough.
yeah.
So, most of us are familiar with PMS or premenstrual syndrome. So, the
Mm,
changes, the physical changes, the emotional changes that can happen with a woman's menstrual cycle
mhm,
due to the changes in hormone levels. So, our especially the week before your period, your estrogen declines, your
mm,
progesterone declines, and then we have mood changes. But we can also have difficulty concentrating. Our appetite changes. We might have different food cravings. Our
mm,
digestion changes. We may find we're bloated, we're constipated, we're like our whole digestion can change.
uh-huh,
We might have headaches, breast tenderness.
mm,
Even some people will get hot, like they'll get hot flashes
yeah.
in the week before their period. Joint, muscle pains. There's a whole host of symptoms. The hormones are responsible for so much that almost anything could be attributed to hormone changes.
Right.
We expect this to happen. Most of us, because it happens in 75% of women, have PMS,
Mm,
either the week before their period or some people like a few days around ovulation as well.
mhm,
Um, we expect it. It's happened to us, or we know someone closely that have this challenge with PMS.
mm,
What we are not expecting, oddly, is this we have these same hormone changes as we approach menopause. So this
mm,
time before menopause is called perimenopause.
mm,
And the mood changes associated with these hormone changes is called perimenopausal mood instability.
mm,
So, 4 in 10 women will have symptoms similar to PMS as they go through perimenopause. And keep in mind, perimenopause starts in our mid 30s. So, we're
mm.
talking about 15 years or more of these symptoms. And for some women, the symptoms continue beyond menopause.
See that's an eye opener, I think, for a lot of people because they think, oh, that's later in like later 40s, close to 50s. But you say, oh, for many, actually, even mid 30s. That's yeah.
Right. And I think. in the medical community, the message that women have been given until now, until very recently, is it's just a couple years, just deal with it. This is just part of aging, just deal with it.
Mm,
But it's not just a couple years, it can go on for 15 or longer. So 4 in 10 women will have PMS symptoms, 1 in 3 will have psychological symptoms, so
mm,
typically presenting as anxiety and depression.
mm.
This is a huge part of the population going through
Oh,
this,
wow.
and it hasn't been talked about. And we're not expecting it, but it's the same changes in our hormone levels. So
Mm,
it's the same decline in progesterone. Then we go through this roller coaster of estrogen, where we have high
mhm,
estrogen levels, then low estrogen levels, and then our estrogen levels decline. And estrogen is, I mean, there are brain receptors for estrogen. So now the brain is used to this amount of estrogen, and now we have
oh,
these declining levels of estrogen, and the brain has to go through this process of adapting to these new levels.
mm.
And so we notice mood changes, we notice cognitive changes, right? We notice sleep is disrupted, thermoregulation in the brain is affected. So that's why the hot flashes, the night
Right.
sweats.
As you're describing this, I'm thinking, I don't think as for men we'll be able to survive this. Like if we went through all of this, as like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like what a journey that it's like a roller coaster, like up and down and up and down. And something that also stood out for me as you're speaking is my interest in work of mental health and wellness is like the levels of anxiety and depression that come up
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
like, can you say a little more about that? Like the mental health
Mhm.
component and how sometimes maybe does that get misunderstood as like, oh, you're just a little worried or,
Mhm.
um,
So, I mean, I think it's important to talk about this, like just briefly, even about the physiological
yeah.
changes, because there is a lot of stigma around anxiety or depression at any time, and
Mm,
particularly during menopause.
mm,
So, I mean, I mentioned the estrogen receptors in the brain are changing. The way our brain metabolizes glucose is
mm,
affected by declining estrogen levels. The mood centers in the brain are affected by the change in our hormone
mm,
levels. And then, of course, we also have neurotransmitters that are associated with the drop in estrogen and the drop in progesterone. So,
mm.
serotonin, our happy hormone,
Right.
declines when our estrogen
Oh
declines.
no.
GABA, our calming neurotransmitter, declines when our progesterone declines.
Mm,
Dopamine, which is our feel good neurotransmitter, it declines when estrogen declines. It's also responsible for memory, attention, cognition, learning. So, a lot of women will even experience ADHD symptoms during
mm,
perimenopause and menopause. So there's physiological changes happening
mm,
here. So I think that's an important piece to talk about for sure, around the
mm,
anxiety and the depression and there's also so many overlapping symptoms, right? So
mm.
let's say your sleep is disrupted because of the changing hormone levels. Well, we all know that our mood is going to be impacted if we have
Mhm.
not slept. I mean, I can certainly
Yeah,
vouch for that as
yeah.
someone that struggled
Me
with
too.
extreme insomnia. Right,
Yeah.
right. When we're not resourced, we're
Mm,
going to be more reactive to stress, right? Even estrogen actually even impacts how we cope with stress. So
mm.
even if our stress levels stayed the same, which they don't in midlife, typically we're navigating all these
More
menopausal
challenges.
hormone changes, plus everything else that we go through in midlife.
Mm,
So we already have higher levels of stress. But we know that stress impacts our mood. So we've got
mm,
that kind of working against us as well. If you're having hot flashes, if you're not remembering things, like a lot of
mm,
women in the workplace are leaving work early or needing to take days off or not taking
Right.
advancements because they have these menopause symptoms that are interfering with their confidence. They're
Mm.
getting hot flashes in the middle of meetings and just wet, covered in sweat,
Wow.
right? Or the memory lapses. I'm saying too because my memory is just being recovered. I would say I'm a couple years post menopause, so the memory challenges where we're
Mm.
forgetting things in the middle of meetings. Like I
Like
remember
brain
doing a
fog. Yeah.
presentation. Yeah, doing a presentation, being very well prepared, and it was gone, like just
Oh,
absolutely gone.
wow.
So it really, all these changes are overlapping. They also
Mm.
affect our mood and they just affect our confidence.
Mm. I mean, of course, that would affect confidence. Even forgetting something, we feel bad. Like, feel, oh, what's wrong with me? My brain is broken now. And then that kicks in all the thoughts around it, right? And the
Mm.
beliefs around I am this or I am that. And the perception of being broken or like losing control or,
Mhm.
yeah. Is there common things that people have or you experience that like oh here are these thoughts that come up in this stage of like it can make it worse.
I definitely think over worrying and extra
Mm,
vigilance can kick in, especially because we don't know how long this is going to last. Like when we have a deadline, we can go, oh, okay, I know that this is going to be soon. But if these symptoms start and you're at 35 years old and you're thinking, well, the average age of menopause is 51, we can start worrying about
wow.
our health, like especially around memory loss, because two-thirds of people with Alzheimer's are women, right? So
Yeah.
if you have a family history of dementia, you're going to be quite worried when you start losing your memory. And
Yeah.
it is important to work with a practitioner and decipher, is this associated with menopause or is there something else going
Mm,
on with your cognition?
right.
I would say the worry and the overvigilance, which
Yeah.
is part of the decline in estrogen too.
Which I can only imagine fuels even more upsetness. Like now I have more worries, which create more stress and just feeds that cycle. But there's something you're saying. I was like, oh my, like there's no like announcement like perimenopause has begun. Day one, ta-da, do you know what I mean? Like starting from today for the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever the range will be, you're gonna go through this. Like there's no, you don't know when it has began really, and but you know when it's kind of ending. I guess is that like there's no exact timeline. Like it's began now, and you have this much to deal with. Like I guess what is
Mhm.
that like? Like not knowing.
Yeah, I don't think people like I think people are actually in perimenopause in their like mid to late 30s, early 40s without realizing it. They think
Uh,
they're too young, right? And so that can elicit you think it's some other health condition.
uh,
But I think if you're asking what my thoughts are, if you were in your mid 30s
uh,
or later, consider, and you're having some of these symptoms like low energy,
yeah.
hot flashes, mood changes, cognition changes,
Mm,
sleep disruption, even muscle joint pain. These symptoms that seem unrelated,
right.
tinnitus,
Oh.
even onset of seizures can be hormonal,
Oh
a
wow.
burning mouth syndrome. So even things you think may not be hormonal, I would have the conversation with your practitioner.
Wow. And what the practitioner do to is there a test that gets done to find out exactly what's happening or like what should people ask for when
Mhm.
to talk to with a healthcare professional like because sometimes people don't know what do I ask for and like what do I yeah.
Yeah. So I recommend everyone go in prepared. So actually track your symptoms.
Mm,
Going in and saying, oh, yeah, I haven't been sleeping well lately is probably going to get disregarded or minimized. But if you go
mhm,
in and saying, this is how often I haven't been sleeping, and if you are still cycling, is it associated? Does it come up at the same time before your period every
mm,
month? Or, then we know that there's a hormonal piece to it. So going in prepared and prepared to advocate for yourself as well
mm,
is really important. And there, as far as perimenopause, there you can do some blood work to see if you're quite close to menopause.
Um,
Like if you're, 45 or older, you can request to have your LH, which is luteinizing hormone, and
mm,
follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. They can measure that in your blood work.
ah,
The tricky part is you're in this time with really big highs and really big lows, so the day they do your blood work may show something different than if you did the
so
blood work
depending
2 days later.
right.
So we tend not to do blood work
Mm,
in perimenopause. Once you start getting close to menopause, maybe it's more helpful, but
mm,
we're basing a diagnosis on your symptoms. And
ah,
I'm not a physician, so I should clarify that.
right.
When I say we, I'm just very used to working with with
That
physicians, but
that's right. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So it's not as clear cut as easy, and that's why it's important to have a good conversation with your physician, healthcare provider. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So, what would you say then as you're sharing that? It's making me think there got to be a lot of misconceptions then, like people have. Like, is there some misconceptions maybe you had, or all the different clients that you work with, misconceptions about perimenopause, misconceptions about menopause? You're like, actually, that's not accurate.
Right. I It's less misconceptions now for sure than when I
Ah,
started doing this work a decade ago.
mhm,
There was often the misconception that a big one was this is only lasting a year or two and everything's going to be better as soon as I go through menopause. Like as soon as I'm there,
mm,
everything will improve. And that
right.
doesn't always happen. Like even, women generally are twice higher. We have two times the risk of depression than men. And that doesn't go away until typically 2 to 4 years post menopause,
Wow.
sometimes longer. So, and there's women 10, 15 years post menopause still having hot flashes.
Hmm.
I guess personally, a misconception for me was if I start hormone therapy, it will help me sleep better because I struggled with
Ah,
sleep for 20 years.
wow.
And I tried everything and I was hesitant around hormone therapy in the beginning. To me, I don't take a lot of medications. And so it was a big deal to start a medication. Um, and eventually nothing else was working. And I was like,
Mm,
okay, this is going to be the fix all for
right.
me. And for a lot of women, it is. For a lot of women, honestly, they start it and they sleep better the next night. Didn't
Mm,
work like that for me. Um, it actually didn't work until I was closer to menopause. Then it
mm,
became more helpful. And in my experience, it's never one thing. It's never, oh, we just eat this food or just take this supplement or just take this medication. It's never one thing that is going to resolve this list of symptoms that you're experiencing.
mm.
It's often several things that you're doing and it takes time. It's not a cure all,
Not a
especially when
switch.
we're yeah,
Mm,
yeah, especially when we're working with hormones because it takes a good cycle or two, a good month or two
mm,
before we start to see changes typically. So there's
mm.
some patience involved.
It's a lot of patience involved. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, given that here it is, there's something that's beginning. We don't know how long it's going to last, that's going to affect life. What can someone do to support themselves? Because if if they don't know what to do, then there's a, helplessness again. This is like, I
Mhm.
guess it's just like almost like a prison sentence. I got to do 15 years and then it'll be over. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or 10 years
Right.
or whatever. So if it's not a prison sentence, instead of waiting, saying, when I go through the next 10, 15 years, then it will be better. But, besides that, what can someone do, like, as they
Mm,
journey through it to come out of it with less
mm.
impact?
I think at the root of it, the biggest thing is trust yourself. So you know your body.
Mm,
And most of us are not in tune with our body. So we can even have these symptoms for years before we even realize it, right?
mm,
But tune into your body and then trust yourself. As women, we pretty easily give our authority over to other people,
mm,
which can be especially easy to do with physicians, really,
Right.
because they're experts, right? They're the
They
expert
should
on
know.
this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So advocate for yourself. If you're not getting the support you need, I encourage you to keep looking. There's a lot more resources out there nowadays than even a year ago. So if
Mm,
you looked into things a year ago and you didn't get anywhere, go back to it. And this goes for any healthcare. We need to be our own advocates.
right.
There's lots of opportunities outside of your primary care provider too, if you are not getting the support you need. So
Mm,
working with integrative practitioners, holistic practitioners,
mm,
functional doctors. So there's even online resources now. So educate yourself
mm,
and advocate for yourself would be the biggest thing you can do.
mm.
There's a lot of evidence that women with less stress and better adrenal functioning go through menopause with a lot more ease, so less
Ah,
symptoms. So that's something that, I mean, that's what I work in, but it's something that we is
mm,
tangible that we can start working on, that
ah.
we can actually have some power over what is this menopause transition going to look like for ourselves.
Hmm. So maybe even before we go into the navigating that piece, can you say a little more about the link between stress and menopause? Because
Mhm.
stress sometimes is also misunderstood. Like, oh, I'm just stressed; is just part of life, and it's just how it is. And it's like, but actually, this
Mhm.
affects like physiologically, psychologically. So, what is that link between stress and menopause or perimenopause?
Hmm. So, in my mind has been missing from the conversation around
Mm,
menopause is that the adrenal glands, as our ovaries are producing less estrogen, less progesterone, the adrenal glands are meant to be producing some of these hormones for us.
mm,
So the adrenal glands produce DHEA, which is considered an anti-aging hormone, but it can be converted into estrogen. It can be
mm,
converted into testosterone. So when our adrenal glands are functioning really well, then we can produce some of those hormones and we
ah,
can avoid those really big fluctuations that happen during perimenopause. The tricky part is that the adrenal glands also produce our stress hormones.
mm,
So adrenaline, cortisol, the fight or flight hormones
right.
that increase our heart rate, our breathing, our blood pressure, our blood sugar. So it can give us energy so that we can either fight or flee. So if we're under stress, the adrenal glands are always going to prioritize the production of those stress hormones because these are survival hormones. Our
Mm.
body thinks we might get eaten by a tiger. That's more
Right.
important than producing my sex
Who,
hormones right
yeah, it's
now.
like who cares? I gotta make it.
Right, exactly. So if we're
Mm,
producing stress hormones, we're not producing our sex steroid hormones to help us
mm,
navigate menopause with more ease.
mm. What a big link that needs to be addressed. And then, so I guess when people look like, what can I do to reduce stress? Like, is it? And there's a lot of information out there. Like, so how would you guide someone through the different elements? Is it nutrition? I know we're kind of getting to your program as well, which addresses all of that. But there's nutrition, like exercise. There's interesting research about, you know, even weightlifting for women, strength training. Um, there's a lot of thing out there, and people kind of sort through like, well, what do I do? And I'm too
Mhm.
stressed to do anything right now. So I think a lot of people end up doing not much.
Yes,
Yeah. So, what
yeah,
are the different components in
exactly.
addition to seeing your healthcare provider, talk to your physician? What can someone do? Maybe they haven't
Mhm.
thought about or didn't prioritize.
Yes, yeah. So absolutely. There's a whole host of
Mm,
nutritional recommendations, natural supplements,
mm,
exercise recommendations.
mm,
Being able to move forward with any of those requires stress management. We need to be able to
mm,
carve out time to put toward these
mm.
lifestyle changes that can be helpful. And
Right.
we need to be mindful of whether they're working for us. Is this a good use of our time? Are these practices helping with my sleep, helping
Mm,
with my mood? We have to be mindful in order to even notice this. So as a health coach, I mean, I've worked with clients for 10 years,
mm,
and we I would often be describing some of these foods to eat, or the best way to exercise for where your stress level is, or
Mm,
specific herbs or supplements that can be helpful for supporting our adrenal glands. But I would often be met with, I don't have time. No, I can't. I don't have 5 minutes. No, I'm much too busy.
right.
And so for me, it is working with women prioritizing themselves.
Mm,
Again, we've received a message that we prioritize others even at our own expense.
right.
So it's time to let go of that belief system that maybe we've carried with us and
Mm,
truly prioritize yourself, resource yourself. And there's lots of ways to do that. It might just mean taking a rest in the middle of the day. So
yeah.
before your battery gets too low, right? But we need to know that. We need to tune in once in a while and go, how am I feeling? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I stressed? Am I able to take on this next task? Or
Mm,
maybe I need to eat something first, or go for a walk, or like, what is my capacity right now? Because we're so used to working at 100%, right? That's what our
right.
society fosters. We're outcome oriented, it promotes competition, uh, not looking after ourselves. That's not a skill that we're taught for sure.
Mm,
So these are all skills that are really helpful to just reduce our stress, because if we can
mm,
reduce the amount of cortisol we're producing, that frees up our adrenal glands to produce, the hormones estrogen and progesterone.
mm. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to quickly thank you for stopping by and watching this content. It truly means the world to me that you're interested in creating positive change. I also want to invite you to join our amazing community. I have free events online about mindfulness, mindfulness based stress reduction, laughter, as well as retreats that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And are you ready for this? Self paced program that you can do about mindfulness and stress reduction. So you can join the newsletter below to stay up to date on all these goodies. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and press that button. It really helps me to keep this content going and reach out to more guests. Thank you so much again, and may you continue enjoying watching this episode. This is so important to be heard, what you just shared. Like, prioritizing yourself. Like that is really important because maybe there's a misconception. It's like, oh, this is selfish. If I take time for me, it's selfish. Like I need to do work a little longer to prove myself, or I need to take care of whatever family, so I don't get abandoned, or whatever belief someone has. Like, but actually, prioritizing yourself is an act of loving yourself and loving those around you because how good are we like if we don't take care of ourselves. So thank you for naming that, and may this be heard for all the listeners. Like, please do prioritize yourself. Like, you matter. Like, you actually matter, not an afterthought. And a lot of people, unfortunately, and I work as well one on one on top of the mindfulness stress, mindfulness based stress reduction program that I teach. It's like a lot of people taking care of themselves is an afterthought. Like,
Yeah, it's like, if I have time,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
do that,
yeah, because everything
right?
else is more important.
Mhm. And I love that you said that. Like,
Mm,
you deserve to look after yourself too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really important piece, particularly for women, I think. But
Yes.
um, yeah, just that, yeah, putting yourself first, really. And you're noticing symptoms because you haven't done that for so long.
Mm,
That
right.
now you're depleted. You're not resourced, you're depleted, and your body, I think of it as your body's talking to you. Your body's trying to
Yeah.
tell you something. Are you available to listen?
Right. Oh, I love how you said that. Are you available to listen? So it requires listening to your body. Listening to your body is actually talking to you. Can you be available to listen and actually be kind to your body? Do something that's good for your body, even if you don't feel like
Mm,
it. I guess that's something that
mm,
people get caught in. I don't feel like it. I'm too stressed.
mhm. Well, that's where some of the other pieces can be helpful when we're, especially with depression, lack of motivation. It can be especially challenging to take on anything else,
Mm.
that's where sometimes natural supplements, specific herbs can be helpful to boost our energy, boost our motivation again, because that's
Mm.
the adrenals are a big part of that. And they can be supported through nutrition,
Mm.
whether that's natural supplements or specific foods that you're taking in. So sometimes we need just a little bit more time resourcing ourselves
Ah,
before we can take on something new. So,
right.
honoring that too, that you
Yeah.
might not be in a place where you can start lifting weights
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or even carve out honestly, I've worked with plenty of people that 5 minutes a day of a breath practice or a mindfulness practice is too overwhelming. Great,
Yeah.
that's fine. We start where we start at 30 seconds. We start at having our tea mindfully. We start with noticing our five senses when we're walking. Like, we
Mm.
start where we're at and we get
Right.
there.
So you build something there. Yeah. And I like how you said it, we getting resourced. So, just start with the intention you want to address it. I think what you said earlier, that's really, really important. So I want to highlight it again. It's like if someone does not prioritize themselves, they're not gonna start the journey of taking care of themselves. And when they do, it becomes a positive snowball. Like, let's just
Mm,
take care of you. Now, can you say a couple of things about like nutrition? If someone is wondering, okay, great. So nutrition and supplements,
mm.
I'm in, but I don't know what to do. Like, so someone
Right.
going,
Yeah.
perimenopause,
And
menopause, going through things and like top things that you've seen or your clients that has helped.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So, often I'll be giving customized recommendations for
Right.
people, but
Right.
generally, what benefits most people is we want to make sure we're stabilizing our blood sugar, because anytime your blood sugar is not stable, that will
Mm.
elicit the stress response in the body. So that means limiting our sugar or any stimulants,
Mhm.
caffeine, alcohol. So just being more mindful around our intake of these, as
Yes.
well as refined carbohydrates, because that converts to sugar very quickly. Bread, pasta, baked goods. Think of it as fuel. It doesn't provide a lot of nutrition other than that. So
Right.
it will spike your blood sugar. We feel great for half an hour because we've
Mm.
got so much energy, but half an hour, 45 minutes later, we're back really
Crushed.
tired
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So then we're reaching for something else that will give us quick
That
sugar.
cake again is so good. That scone
Yeah.
is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stabilizing blood sugar by avoiding those foods and replacing them with more protein and healthy fats and fiber
Mm.
too. So that's probably the number one thing. And then, of course, if we're in perimenopause, we're thinking about aging. We're naturally
Mm.
going to be losing muscle mass as we get older. So protein is also really important for maintaining our muscle mass, which
Mm.
is important for our bone density too.
Mm.
So generally, that's what I would focus on is, and also avoid skipping meals. Like,
Mm.
if you're fasting a very short fast, where maybe 16 hours is fine, that includes the time you're sleeping. But then every time you're eating protein and healthy fats.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the best dietary recommendation I would say. And again, this isn't easy. This isn't
No.
easy to cut out sugar, right? So start with adding, we're trying to nourish ourselves to support our adrenals. So
Mhm.
what am I going to add in? What do I get to eat more of? Okay, I'm going to add in more protein. And then once you've added in more protein, you probably won't crave the refined carbohydrates as much. Your energy will start improving. Maybe you don't need that third cup of coffee, right? Okay, now I
Mm.
can go to 2 cups of coffee. So this all
Right.
takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And yeah, to me, that's a really good question. Am I nourishing myself?
Mm.
Even with my program, I don't start with making recommendations to people. I start with, how are we creating 5 minutes of joy for ourselves every single day? I
Mm.
don't care what you do in that time, but 5 minutes of joy. You want to listen to music, you want to dance, you want to have a cup of tea, you want to talk to a friend. Just give yourself 5 minutes of joy every day. And
Mm,
then it can be quite enlightening because some people are like, no, I don't, again, that 5 minutes of my time for myself, that's uncomfortable for some people.
yeah. Oh, I
Hmm.
love that. That's a great little homework if anyone wants to pick it up. Like just 5 minutes of joy, and not, not doing what you're already doing, but is there another 5 minutes? Like, I mean, some people may say, "Oh, like I love social media and I'm on Instagram and it brings me joy to look at like puppies and
Yeah,
whatever." Right? So that might be it, but there might be like, is there anything else you haven't done that can bring you joy? Like what else?
right.
So I think the encouragement is just maybe exploring something new that brings you joy, or
Yeah.
reconnecting with something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
sometimes it can even be there's a day when you're like, "Oh, I didn't have time to do my 5 minutes of joy. But you know what? I have to go grocery shopping." But actually, I really like grocery shopping. I get to buy the food I want. It's
yeah,
quiet. I get time on my own without my family, whatever it might be. And now you're just reframing something you already have to do, but
yeah.
now it's a joyful event.
Oh, beautiful. So it's actually including it in your day. So something that's happening anyway, but you're actually,
Possibly,
yeah, it could
possibly.
be happening. It's another option where you actually change how you're looking at it, and like, oh, this is my time now. I get to go out. I get to look at, like, pick the vegetables. Or like there's an element of gratitude that I'm hearing, right? So
Mm.
there's that piece. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the I get to instead of I have to. Oh, I have
yeah.
to go grocery shopping,
I have to do
right? That
this.
already is putting us in the stress response, right? But if,
Totally.
oh, I get to go grocery shopping, so it's just reframing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's something that, like, all of us we can do. Just reframing something that can really help the experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to the protein for a moment because this is so helpful. And I know we're doing kind of broad strokes because it's not a prescription we're giving, but things for, for listeners to think about, and then obviously check with professional. I mean, whether they check with your doctor or reach out for someone like yourself to connect with, like, okay, like a specific plan for someone. But generally speaking, when we're talking about protein, I think there's also a lot of misconception. Like someone may say, well, like, I just had my yogurt, I had my protein for the day. But is there quantity of protein? How much protein? What kind of protein? Just a little bit more about that,
Mhm.
because I think there's a lot of not a lot of good knowledge or information out there.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, the minimum that's easy to remember is 100 grams of protein a day for everyone.
Mhm.
For a lot of people, if you're trying to build muscle, we're looking at even more protein, depending on your
Yes.
body weight and how much exercise you're doing. But the minimum is 100 grams,
100 grams. So we'll put it in
which is not
perspective.
actually easy to
It's
get.
no, as soon as you said it, I was just put in perspective. Those that are not familiar with the numbers, like a chicken breast. If you eat meat, chicken breast is about 30 grams. So imagine, like, you got to eat a lot,
It's a
not just chicken
lot.
breast. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like an egg might be 8 grams. And
yeah.
we think of these as high protein. We think of an egg as this is a high protein food, right? So it does take some time. There might be times when you want to add a protein powder to get your levels up
Mm,
there in the beginning. You might not need it every day, but we can add protein powder to oatmeal, shakes.
yes.
We can make bliss balls with it. We can add it to our pancakes. You can add it to your coffee. So, it is every time you eat protein. Like eat something that has some protein.
Yeah.
Try not it shouldn't all be meat-based protein, right?
Right.
Like we should try to have some plant-based protein like beans and lentils,
Mhm.
raw nuts and seeds. Anytime you choose to have a whole grain like brown rice or wild rice over white rice, you're getting some
Right.
protein, whereas you wouldn't if with the white rice, for instance. So I recommend just try to focus on eating protein every time you eat. And then after you've been doing that for a week, maybe just track one day. How much protein am I getting?
Mm.
You don't have to track your fruits and vegetables, even. Like, just track and see, okay, am I getting close to the 100 grams? You might not be. You probably won't be. You'll probably still be at like 60 or 70 grams. And then okay, now what can I add in? And then I recommend cook in batches. Like when you're cooking dinner, don't cook dinner for one meal, cook dinner for 2 meals so that you can have that as leftover for your lunch.
Mm.
And honestly, I say put it aside for you. Like, there's one chicken breast left.
Yeah, yeah,
That's your lunch. It's not for the kids. It's not for your partner.
yeah,
It's your lunch. You made it. Because as women, this is what we'll do. We'll
yeah,
make sure the kids have all their lunches, and we've organized and we've chopped everything up really small for our kids. Or you make sure that your partner might have lunch to bring, and then you're like, well, I don't have lunch.
yeah, yeah,
I'll just eat the scraps, right? I'll just eat the
yeah.
little bits of carrot I cut off
Or
my
yeah,
child's.
or bread, and then like you said earlier, just the easy things. Bread, like a lot of people love cheese, like bread and cheese, and it's like okay, but we're missing again. Yeah. See, this is so important to name this protein. I love how you mentioned it so clearly. Like that's a great intention. Like adding protein to every meal.
Yeah,
I'm including some protein every meal, and it could be meat based, could be plant based. There's something as well that I really like. It's chia. So I do have meat,
yes,
but I kind of soaking the chia the night before, and a couple of tablespoons, and I love that. I actually add that to my protein as well. So I put the protein shake.
great,
Yeah, my protein shake includes the chia that's soaked overnight. Um, I really love that.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's very
chia
intentional.
seeds are,
Yeah,
yeah, seeds, hemp seeds too are pretty
yeah,
high source of protein. Yeah, and you're getting your good healthy fats with the chia
yeah.
seeds too, the omega 3s. So wonderful.
2 for 1 deal.
Yeah.
Before we shift to, I want to ask you about mindfulness and stress, and the role that can support as well. But there's one more other thing that's it's receiving a bit of attention in terms of nutrition and supplements, which is creatine. And I've been looking into it, and again, this is not advice for listeners to go get creatine, but something I found like, oh, that's interesting. And for building muscle, for mental clarity, and but not just for men, for women as well. Have you looked into it more recently? And what is it? It appears to be well researched, but I'm wondering what are you discovering about creatine?
Yeah, it is well researched. It is documented that it can be
Mm,
helpful. It's a great protein source, so you can
mhm.
add an extra 5 grams to your shake, for instance.
Right.
But it also there's quite a lot of evidence in terms of memory support, cognition, some of those
Mhm.
cognition changes we talked about during perimenopause. So, um, I take creatine.
Mm,
It's really important that you're doing it consistently, which
yes.
is probably where I'm not so great, to be honest, because I don't have a shake every day, but I should try to add it to my oatmeal or something
Yeah.
else I'm eating. But yeah, start at 5 grams, and then once a day, you can go up to 5 grams twice a day.
Mhm.
But do it consistently and try it. Like anything else, try it and
Yeah.
see for yourself. Does it? Same with mindfulness. We try it
Yeah. See,
and
to
see for
find out
yourself
totally.
what did you notice.
Totally.
Mhm.
Totally. Yeah. And sometimes I had to do that as well myself. Like try it, like look at the research it myself, then go experiment. Like, is this helping me? Is it not? And
Mm.
sometimes, the healthcare provider or even like a GP, sometimes they're on board, sometimes they're not. Right. So I remember having this conversation when I first was researching in the
Mm.
GP, and GP was like, no, creatine is a waste of time, and it's going to affect your kidney. I was like, okay. I went and researched it, and I actually went back to him because he was not aware of this latest research.
Mm.
Actually, if,
Mm.
if you only have issues with your kidney, it becomes a challenge. But it's one of the most researched supplements, you know, and it really is an important supplement. So anyway, I went back. So
And
hopefully, this physician is now when someone else asks him about like should I take creatine, it's like hopefully it's like go research it, try it. But it's not like immediate. No, this does not work. Well, actually, no. The research shows it does work. So
right,
sometimes there is
yeah.
pushback from the
Mhm.
physicians. Yeah,
Yeah, and again, we hold physicians to such a high standard,
that they
expecting them
should
to
know
keep up to
everything.
date on all the research on everything, right?
Yeah, that's not
Which is
fair.
impossible.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But, as long as they could also let you know, I don't know much about creatine, and
Yeah.
maybe direct you to someone that has more information about that. Or,
Y-
yeah. So again, that tuning into ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have some wisdom, we have so much to learn from ourselves, but we tend to give that away to other people,
Yeah.
especially in the medical community.
Totally. Yes. And sometimes we take their answers like to heart. That's it. like because they're also under a lot of pressure and they're doing their best. Like
Mhm.
truly, they're doing their best with a
Mhm.
lot of constraints. And sometimes they have to answer quickly, yes, no. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a like so keep that in mind. So I wonder if we can turn a little bit about mindfulness. And you were talking about stress, impact of stress, perimenopause, menopause, and how can mindfulness support someone through that journey? And what was it like for you?
Mhm. Yeah, I'd love to share from my own personal experience
Mm,
because I think I mentioned I haven't, I went through a time where I did not, for 20 years almost, I did not sleep. Some many years in a row, sleeping 20 minutes a night.
mm,
And people would say, "Well, how are you functioning?" And I had plenty of energy. The problem was I had energy even in the middle of the night when I should have been sleeping. But, looking back, yes, I was just operating on cortisol. That
mm,
cortisol was always getting spit out, and that was giving me my energy, and also keeping me up in the middle of the night. But I had tried, I tried the nutrition, I tried the hormones, I tried sleep. I did cognitive behavioral therapy for
mm.
insomnia. I saw a sleep specialist. I tried the medications, and
Yeah.
all of them were somewhat helpful. Um,
Mm,
but I truly was not able to reverse the issue until I became aware that the way I was reacting to stress was actually
um,
contributing to the problem. So I had this realization in your MBSR teacher training, Cassim, that, some coping strategies I have been using my whole life since I was younger, which
mm,
served me well growing up in a lot of chaos
yeah.
with a parent with a mental health disorder that was undiagnosed and untreated, and a single mom that had a lot of stress. So my coping techniques were perfectionism, look after
Mm,
other people, fix it. Like you can fix this.
right.
um and just wanting to control everything. Like I would spend every night, I'd be thinking about what happened during the day and
Mm,
how I could fix it if it went wrong, and then planning ahead for the next day so everything could be all laid out so
wow.
that I could be safe. Right? But I didn't need those coping techniques anymore. I wasn't in
Mm,
the same situation. um
mm.
and yeah, it took me to my early 50s to figure that out, right?
Right.
That it takes the time that it takes.
Yeah.
um, but it was mindfulness that allowed me to have that insight
Mm,
that, okay, this is how you've been coping. Is it still serving you?
mm,
And then giving me the tools to cope in a different way.
yeah.
And even honestly, it was just the awareness itself that turned my sleep around. And
Mm,
yes, occasionally I sleep 9 hours a night now. But
wow.
occasionally, if I have a
Mm,
very stressful day, I notice, oh, I woke up today. Okay, but I now have the tools. I know not to get into that stress spiral by worrying about not sleeping. That's
mm.
just going to keep the cortisol coming if I'm worrying about not sleeping. So I'll do my meditation practice in the middle of the night too, if I wake up in the
Mm.
middle of the night. And I typically don't get more than a minute or two in before I fall asleep
You're gone.
again, which is fine.
Yeah, yeah. It worked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that mindfulness can allow us to see what our
Mm,
habitual ways of reacting to stress are,
mm,
to hold that if we're practicing mindfulness or a meditation practice, if we're practicing it well, which this also took me a really long time to learn,
mm,
but practicing it with some kindness, some friendliness, without that criticism or judgment that we can get so used to
mm.
layering on
Right.
ourselves. So you can hold what's showing up for you without feeling bad about yourself or without feeling guilty. Like
Mm.
now I can talk about it. Yeah, I
Right.
was real I was a control freak. I love controlling everything. I could not have said that 5 years from now. There would be a lot of shame associated with that. Probably knew it was happening, but it was
Right.
too shameful to look at that I needed to be in control all the time. So I was
Um,
able to hold that knowing now with some kindness. And then also to learn, okay, what do I do now instead?
yeah.
what do I do when I'm uncomfortable because things are out of control? So
Mm,
mindfulness taught me all of that. Maybe I'm an exception. I don't know. But when I've had such big changes from the
yeah.
practice, I feel the need to share it with other people.
Yes, of course. And because you lived it, you lived through something, but also you were willing to explore it. You're willing to do what the practice invites us is like, let's go find out. Like, it might be for you and may not be. And if it is, let's see what benefit can happen. I mean, putting aside the research, we can talk like hours about the research, but you were willing to go, let me see if this can help me. And what's so interesting is discovering this, you named it habitual patterns. We all have autopilots, no way around it. We all have these autopilots of behavior and also autopilots of thinking. And some of it is really helpful and some of it isn't. But we keep doing it because it's autopilot. Like, just, you know what I mean? We're just habitual creatures and we just do the same thing that we know until, and you named the word, we intentionally become aware. And now we have power and we have choice. Do I keep doing this? Is this helping me? Or is it not? And that's really incredible. And I really commend you because you mentioned that MBSR, or mindfulness based stress reduction teacher training path. And what's so amazing is people get surprised often. It's like, oh, I'm in a teacher training event. Boom, it's actual deep work. So you really did the deep work of willing to face yourself, which is the hardest thing for all of us. Like, I got to be with me, with my patterns. I don't want to look at these things. And you had the
Mhm.
courage to do that, and the willingness to do it differently. So really, hats off to you because you're
Oh,
walking the talk.
oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, we're in an uncomfortable place, but that's where insights can happen. That's
Absolutely.
where the learning is, right?
Right. It's kind of a bit of a stretch. We're stretching ourselves to learn. Yeah. So here you went through this journey, and you have a program. I would love to hear more about it. I think this would really benefit listeners. So you have a program, the Stress to Serenity. I think that's what.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Can you speak a little bit? What is this program? I think it's a 90-day, if I remember correctly. So 90-day. What is it? What does it look like? What are the different modules? Because it has a lot of key elements that would benefit so many. So can you please say a little more about this stress
Sure, my
serenity program?
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my Stress to Serenity program, and I
Mm.
love it because it's a group program, a small group program.
Mm.
And when I have gone through mindfulness-based stress reduction, I learned a lot from other people,
Mm.
even if it was just knowing that they were experiencing the same thing that I was. I found that really helpful.
Yes.
So it's great to be in a group of supportive women going through similar challenges as you,
Mm.
and we meet once a week for an hour and a half. In that time, we're learning, we're uncovering what belief systems might be there,
Mm.
our automatic reactivity patterns to stress, and how to
Mhm.
mindfully cope with that. And then we also have, every week there's downloadable practices that you can practice
Uh-huh.
at home so you can start to integrate what you're learning in real time.
Mm.
Worksheet. So that's all yours for life in the
Right.
program.
And
And
it's
then,
online, is that right? So this is online. People can
yeah.
join from
So I
anywhere.
offer it. Yeah. Right now it's online. If there's enough interest to offer it in person in Vancouver, I'm happy to do that. Right now
Mhm.
it's online.
Mhm.
It includes also a day-long retreat, which
Mm.
it's really interesting to see people that think, "Oh, there's no way I could do a meditation retreat for a day," and then they do it, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely doable. It's midway or a little bit
Later
further
on.
into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
program for sure. And it also includes a one-to-one session with me as well, so that you definitely have an opportunity to have that personal connection in the program at some point too. So it's
Mm.
based on mindfulness-based stress reduction. That's what it's
Mhm.
modified, but I've added just some extra pieces that are,
Mm.
in my opinion, and based on feedback from previous programs, what would be helpful to women in midlife. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that, and it's maybe a manageable time. for women to
Mm.
spend an hour and a half intentionally focusing on
Wow.
themselves once a week. And we have 3 months to work together. So you
Yeah.
will see transformation. Like, you put your energy to anything over 3 months, you're going to see some changes.
Mm.
It's
Of
anywhere
course.
you direct your energy to, you're going to see shifts. So I love that there's enough time to really integrate all the pieces that we're learning. Yeah.
Mm. Can imagine a community forming. Like here's it
Mm,
becomes like friendships, community, traveling together for 90 days, traveling together and meeting every week. You really, I think that's something that's missing out there as well. It's like community instead of having to figure
absolutely.
it on your own, be on your own. But here you're meeting with others in your program, and they get to connect and hear other people.
Yeah, and you're
Mm.
not alone. And you get to talk to people that are also going through something similar, which can, sometimes we can have quite high expectations of
Mm.
other people in our lives, like they should understand, they should just know this, but they're
Right.
not going through it, right? So
Right.
this gives
They
an
were not.
opportunity to talk to people who are going through something similar,
Yeah.
right? That resonates with you. You can relate to what they're also going through and
Mm.
how that this is a challenging time and we can also work with it.
Right, together. And plus you're saying there's one-on-one. So in the 90 days, there's a one-on-one as well, like at the beginning, or how does that work? So if someone.
It's up to each participant. So for instance, then if the next cohort was not starting for a few weeks, someone might choose to do their one-to-one now and just get started with some tools. Other
Right,
people might feel more comfortable getting started and then having their one-to-one session midway or even a couple weeks after the end of the session. So it's
right.
really up to each
Each
participant when they
person.
want to take advantage of that. And I might make a recommendation if I see that, we should chat about something individually for a good hour of time and focus on something a little bit more.
Mm. So
Mhm.
it's actually it's really good. So it could start even before the program begins, or I guess that's also separate. You do just one-on-one anyway. Like if the program, someone reaches out and the program is not starting for whatever a month, they can still do unrelated to the program one-on-one work with you.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do work one on one with people,
Right.
more so if the program dates just aren't compatible for them. They travel a lot for work and they're
Right.
in different time zones or something like that. But absolutely, I work one to one with people as
People as well.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just really love when
Yeah.
people get to work in that group with community. I really do. And even when I'm offering workshops in the community, when I ask people, oh, so what, why'd you sign up for this? I'm like, well, I want to talk to other women in
Yeah. Yeah.
midlife. Like, I want to talk to somebody about this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
It's not even so much about the information I'm offering. It's more they're just interested in getting together with other women going through similar experiences.
I so love your deep passion for this. I can so relate to it. I really feel the same when I'm teaching the programs of MBSR programs. Like, it's like a highlight. I get to see everyone. We get to connect. It's like, what's going to come up this week? Like, what did people go through? There's really something about being together. Like, I really love that.
Mm.
Like, it's really rare. Like, we travel together as a community with a similar interest, right? So I want to work on my wellness. I want to work on my health. I want to work on my stress, whatever it is. And you're traveling with people, and it's really beautiful what we created. And I have a couple of more questions about your program. So, if someone is interested, um, can you give us like a on a big picture of the different topics? Because it's 90 days. I don't know. You're not going to go over all of it, but what are some kind of pillars you go over? Someone's like, oh, I wonder if this is for me.
Yeah, so we are trying to, you mentioned autopilot. So we're
Yeah.
trying to break free from some of that autopilot mode and connect deeply with ourselves. So we can,
Mm.
we practice those same behaviors, those same thoughts. We get good at what we practice. That's
Yeah.
neuroscience. Right? So let's practice something differently occasionally. And then maybe that will become our new
Mm.
norm, right? So we're just starting to investigate, oh, when am I on autopilot? And is this serving me? And how do I
Mm.
connect with myself more deeply to know best how to move forward?
Mm.
We also look at limiting beliefs. So those can come up as well. So what are my limiting beliefs that are
Oh.
fueling my stress, my anxiety? What are the triggers that are depleting me? And then looking at how
Mm.
do we navigate challenges with more mindfulness and in more maybe helpful ways, right? That
Yeah.
aren't, I get we all have the ways because no one wants to feel uncomfortable. So yeah, I might blame someone that eased the discomfort a little bit, or
Right.
I want to avoid it. I'm just not going to talk to that person anymore. Well, that
Yeah.
felt good short term, but long term might not be serving me. So we're looking at our coping mechanisms as well. So
Mm.
are they helpful? Are they not helpful? What can we experiment with in terms of finding different behaviors and attitudes?
Yeah.
And of course, we create space for that joy, which starts the process of just prioritizing ourselves,
Mm.
right? Just that process of 5 minutes a day
Yeah.
just to prioritize yourself.
Mm.
So each week, I love that we're doing mindfulness practices, different mindfulness practices.
Mhm.
So it might be a body scan one week. We might be doing walking meditation one week,
Right.
moving meditation, what some people would call yoga, but maybe with a bit more
Right.
intention than we might normally practice yoga.
Mm.
So there's lots of different practices, bigger practices, micro practices,
Right.
like just 2-minute breath practices that can be really effective
Mm.
for regulating our cortisol levels, for instance.
Mm. What a
So
great
you get
combination.
exposed. Sorry.
Yeah, what a
Mhm.
great combination. Like as you're saying, is like get exposed to the different mindfulness practices. So there's actual practice, but there's also like a didactic component about okay, here's autopilot, or here's stress, here's nutrition. Like you're bringing all the different things we talked about today, but in pieces every week in the program.
Absolutely.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if someone is listening to this and they're like, "Ooh, I think this might be for me, but I'm not like I'm just on okay, I want to know a little more." What can they do to reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can visit my website and email me directly if you have a few quick questions, but you can also book a complimentary clarity call. So
Mm,
that'll give us half an hour to talk about what you're looking for, what the program provides, and
mm,
just see if it does feel like it's a good fit for you. So you
mm.
can book that through my website as well. Mhm.
I love how you
And
named it too. Clarity call. I love it. Just to get clear, is it for me or is it not for me? Yeah. And it's through the, can you save a website? I'll put it in the show notes as well.
thank you. Yes,
Mm,
it's SharonPendlington.com.
mhm,
And if you're visiting my website, I also have a very short breath practice that you can download and save and just start practicing. Even if you only have 2 minutes a day, it will
mhm,
help regulate your cortisol levels. Ideally, you would eventually practice it maybe 2 or 3 times a day, maybe when you wake up or when you go to bed.
mhm.
But it can be really helpful when you're having a hot flash, when you wake up in the middle of the night, when you're noticing anxious thoughts. So it can just
Mm.
help regulate those cortisol levels. So that is another great place to just get started.
Oh, great. So they can just go to the website and then get that audio. They just put their name and an email and then just get that audio at no cost.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's kind of low hanging fruit. It's right here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of your Instagram, can you, other places people can find you? So I'll put the show notes again, your website, but what is your Instagram if you can?
It's Sharon Pendlington. Yeah.
Excellent.
And
Mhm.
and gosh, I'm trying to think of the name. I'm so used to just clicking on the app.
Yeah.
So, I have Facebook too. It's Sharon Pendleton,
Yeah.
maybe FB, maybe.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Again, it's Sharon Pendleton.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get tired of hearing that name.
You need to know this name, so I'll put that in the show notes for sure. And wherever, feel free to take a look at the show notes to make sure you
Yeah.
can reach out to Sharon.
And I do offer lots of workshops in the community, just educational workshops. So, you can always find more information about those either through social media or joining my newsletter as well.
Beautiful. I'll put all of that. I can't tell you how happy I am. the work that you're doing, because you really did the work. You did MBSR, you did the teacher training, you did retreats. Like the fact that you're offering a retreat part of, a day retreat part of your program, because you've been through it, you've done the work, you've done the retreats, and yeah, really, really, just beautiful to see what you created.
Aw, that means a lot. Thank you,
Yeah,
Kasim.
yeah, yeah. So I'm wondering, anything else you want listeners to know? And I do have one more question for you before we end.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can go ahead with your question. I don't think I have anything I want to,
The-
especially that I've forgotten that I really wanted to share.
it was full of takeaways. So thank you for that. And the final thing I want to ask you is, the name of a podcast is Pause to Elevate. Pause to Elevate. So I'm wondering, what does pause to elevate mean for you?
Love that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, pausing is such an important mindfulness practice to just stop and notice what is happening because we
Mhm.
tend to just keep going and going. So, we really aren't checking in with
Right.
whether we're resourced, for instance, or how am I reacting? Is this by choice? Is this just automatic? So, pausing
Mm.
in terms of just literally stopping for a
Right.
second to check in.
Right.
That's probably what comes up for me. Yeah.
Mm.
And also, like, just even stopping for a minute to know what am I living my life in a way that's in alignment with what I value?
Ah.
Pausing to just check in on that because I think, we can get so busy that we just go into that autopilot mode and then years go by and we realize everything I've been doing has been someone else's expectations, someone else's values, whether it's at work or at home. So just
Mm.
pausing, like, am I on the track I want to be on? This is your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think menopause is actually such an opportunity because we finally stop because we're forced to, right? There's
Right.
so much going on
Right.
physiologically. We're like, okay, something has to change.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that pausing to check in on all of this.
Mm. And it's so available and so simple, isn't it? Like, but it's so easy to forget. So thank you for reminding us. It's really as simple as that. Just take a pause, take a breath, check in, check in. And with all of us, with kindness, we're not blaming ourselves like, oh, wait, am I really listening to myself? Am I really taking care? So thank you for sharing this. And
Mm,
truly, thank you again for absolutely walking the talk, and for creating something that is of such service to so many.
mm,
And it's such a pleasure having this conversation with you. Truly, truly. I really want to thank you. And I want to thank how you followed your heart and the work that you do and really care about people. I really appreciate you, and I want to thank all the listeners for listening. Thank you so much for listening. And, please share this with a friend, with a neighbor, with a coworker. S- Please help us spread this word of creating change. And someone can benefit, not only you, but someone else. So feel free to share this, send it to them. And if you subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate you. If you haven't, go ahead and help me with that too. This really helps me keep doing this work, which is really a project of the heart, project of love. So help me keep spreading this work. Thank you so much, everyone. May your moments be filled with ease, and may you be present in as many of them.
mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this content, check out what's coming up next right over here. Thank you.